Good morning,
What
good
up,
morning,
guys?
good morning. All good. We got a special one today. We
Yeah,
got
the
a real
winningest
special.
player in Syracuse history is joining
Yes,
us.
sir. Yes, sir. Special cloth edition. Now I'm wearing a hat because I have no haircut. Paulie, you always wear the SD. B. Triche, you represent New York, or you need a cut too? Because I know why I'm hiding my shit. I don't got no cut, no nothing.
Because I woke up 20 minutes ago, so I
I feel you. I feel you. So that. No, what's
So,
going on
Brandon,
here?
the first question we normally ask everybody is tell us the path that led you to Syracuse basketball.
I'm from Syracuse, born and raised in Syracuse, New York. There's like some type of family history with my uncle Howard Triche going to Syracuse as well, my cousin Jason Hart as well. But growing up, I wasn't too much of a Syracuse basketball fan until like most guys, you like the Dukes, the UNCs and things like that. So I always like those teams, and then maybe like 7th, 8th grade, I like UConn with Ben Gordon and those guys. But then once I started getting recruited, I started paying more attention. I started looking at the GMAC, started going to the games and stuff like that. And then I started kind of like imagining myself, at Syracuse, and it kind of fit just with the opportunity of me, going there and playing right away.
Yeah, look, I want to backtrack real quick on that. So you said, we all grow up wanting to go to Duke. We know about the rivalries and stuff like that. When did you start? I mean, I figure, like you said, your uncle Howard Triche, 4-year player, Syracuse, one of the GOATs. There was no early influences from him at family cookouts or anything like that? Like, when did you really know that you were nice in hoops and you could really have a chance at becoming good at this game and becoming a Division I player? And did he influence you at all in your decision making?
As far as decision making, my uncle didn't like influence me at all. As far as basketball go, I was one of those kids who were kind of big for his age. So I got 2 older brothers. One they're about to be 35 and 38 coming up. So I always play with them. So when I'm 6 years old, I'm playing with a 9-year-old, and my dad is making me go to the park. If my older brother was going to the park and I wanted to go, like, he had to bring me. So I was good at a young age. So like 7 years old, I'm playing with 10-year-olds. I was one of those kids. So I knew I was good at a young age. It just whether I was gonna grow or not. And then like maybe from 7th to 8th grade, I grew from like 5'9" to 6'1", 6 feet. So from there, that's when like I went from like, okay, he's a kid who's one of the better ones in the city to like, okay, this one, he's the best in the city. So by the time I was like 14, already getting recruited, by like 14, I was like the best in Syracuse already. So that's kind of like that I went through.
So Syracuse being right there on campus, you probably live, give it 20 minutes from campus, maybe less. Who recruited you? What was that like, that first interaction, with the one who recruited you, which I assume is Coach Hop? And then that first interaction with Coach Boeheim, I mean, it wasn't hard for them to get to you. Janesville, right down the road, they could probably come to every game if they wanted to. So what was that like?
So yeah, I actually live right there on the east side of Syracuse. So I mean, really is like 5, depending on if you hit a stop sign or a light or something. It's like 5 to 10 minutes from campus. So when it came to stuff like that, I actually was recruited more so, or talked to more so, Bernie Fine. So that's who I talked to. So I wasn't necessarily talking to Hop or even Coach. My dad used to do like upholstery, like furniture work for Coach for Bernie. So they knew each other. Obviously, since my uncle was there, my dad kind of helped my uncle through going to Syracuse as well from 87 to 80, from 84 to 87. So I kind of always knew them. I was going to Syracuse camps at 7. Like I wasn't supposed to, I think the age was like 8. So I was going to the camps at 7 all the way through about 12 years old. Every summer going to those camps. So obviously they knew who I was, and the recruiting process was different for me. I guess it's just like, all right, we know who this guy is. Like they was more so asking me, am I willing to stay at Syracuse? But also other teams are asking me, am I willing to leave Syracuse? So yeah, so through the process of actually getting recruited. You know, I think you want to get recruited by the top teams in the country. At least want to be able to say that. So I think that's more so me waiting, and then obviously when I tore my ACL at 15, some teams didn't really talk to me as much. So I really wanted to see how I recover from that. But that was like from my sophomore year. That's the recruiting process through Bernie Fine. And he was making the phone calls and things like that. And when I met Coach, obviously it's way different. Like when you like going to practices and stuff, a lot of times it's the laid back practices. It's the either the day before games, so you don't really see much of him interacting with the player. And then, and, and then when you like obviously watching the games, like you just feel like, all right, that's a coach being a coach, but you don't see the everyday type of activity and things like that. So to be honest, I didn't necessarily get a gauge on how Coach was until I was at SU.
Yeah, now we definitely been apart. We spent a lot of time together, so we were around for some classic coach moments. But just still sticking on the recruitment process, right? I know it's probably tough in a sense where making the decision to stay in Syracuse probably comes with a lot of pressure. For one, your family's history being there, that's one thing. Naturally when, you're the son of a ex NBA or even college, whatever, you had your history with your uncle. Now you're staying in Syracuse, you got the pressure of, the city and, maybe pressure that you might be putting on yourself. Was that ever a thought of like, damn, if I go to Syracuse and I quote unquote fail, like I'm going to be viewed as a failure to my city, to my, you know what I mean? Like, was there those thoughts ever cross your mind and you thought maybe it'd be easier to go to a school out of state just so that I could be kind of on my own? Or did being at Syracuse in your hometown help you grow in that process?
Well, I think being home I think in hindsight, I would think that it might have hindered me a little bit because I was kind of more, let's say, sheltered. So I was in Syracuse for 22 years, So being that 17 going to 18, I think it would have been maybe a tougher process for me going away from home, right? And then initially, locking into basketball, and then from there, trying to make my way. Versus I'm being home all the time, so if I'm home, I'm comfortable. So I'm saying maybe possibly I could have fought past my comfortability and then pushed to be a better player. But also then the angle of it is being home. So that being home, the pressure wasn't necessarily for me to be great, but there was like a stigmatism between Syracuse-born players not doing well at Syracuse. So you had my uncle who did, he did okay. He had like 1 or 2 good years at Syracuse. And then you had, let's say, recently you had the Josh Wrights, Deshaun Wrights, had Andy, but those guys for 4 years didn't all do well. You had Lazar Sims as well. So they had like stigmatism as like the local Syracuse people would be like, all right, coach hold the local guys back or whatever. So for me, it was like, all right, I wanted to be the best one. I'm like, all right, I'm going to Syracuse as a Syracuse-born player, and I want to be the best one to come out. So that was more so something I was. Obviously, the pressure wasn't necessarily, it's the same pressure I put on myself. So I didn't really look at it from outsiders, just more so how I feel about my game, how I feel about myself.
Brandon, you finally get to Syracuse, and we've gotten the reaction to this from all the older guys that were at that game, but but you're a freshman rolling in, and that Lemoyne game happens, your second exhibition game at Syracuse, and what was that like for you? And you grew up in Syracuse. we grew up in Syracuse, so you know what Lemoyne is compared to Syracuse.
Yeah, like so when that happened, like I'm a very positive person, like optimistic. So when that happened, we didn't. I mean, I think in general, like coming to SU as a team, we didn't know what we could be. We had. I was a freshman, so I'm like the first year coming back. We had Scoop Jardine, who was coming off an injury, so it was his first year back. You had Wesley Johnson coming off of a redshirt year, so his first year. You got Chris, he lost weight. He look, what I'm saying, he's in great shape, so he's a new player. You got same thing, Rick Jackson losing weight. You got Renze, who's, he was injured, not like, so we had a really like a whole new team for everybody. Everybody had new roles and things like that. So you never knew what it could be. And for us, when obviously when you go to that game, it happens. It's more so embarrassing because it never happened. I don't think Lemoyne ever beat us except for that time. And they just so happened to be the number one team in the country. So, but we ended up being the number one team in the country that year. So it's like, it's weird to think about. But we, as a team though, we didn't really know we were good until we went to, I think it was a 2K tournament when we had played North Carolina. I think it was Michigan. Was it Michigan State? Or that was sophomore year?
Just
we
Cal
played
and
Cal
North Carolina.
and North Carolina.
Yeah, so we went from losing to, this all happened in 3 weeks? We went from losing to Lemoyne to beating those two guys and then being ranked top 10, top 12, whatever. All in like 2 weeks. So like obviously it's a distant memory after that.
Yeah, everybody. I think, Paulie, when we lost to Lemoyne, I think the town, the city of Syracuse said, "Yo, this team, we have no hope. We lost to Lemoyne. We must not be shit." Like, you know what I mean? Just like you said, the way they view Lemoyne and obviously Syracuse, that should have never happened. But that just goes into thinking that you're so nice and you're so good that you'll beat whoever. You know what I mean? Not knowing that Lemoyne comes into all of those games like it's a national championship game. That's not our mindset going in. We're going in, we're trying to tweak some shit. We're trying to get a feel for each other on the basketball court. And, we ended up losing. That was tough. But just for anybody that doesn't know, I always say that Brandon Triche is one of the most like locked in guys as far as working out, knowing exactly how many, what his caloric intake and all kind of stuff, right? So he's really good with these things. And I'll never forget, it was early because we were still practicing at Manly, and we were sitting down, maybe we were stretching or something, and Brandon, he comes over, he taps, he's like, hey, how you lose all that weight? Like, he wanted to know everybody's secrets and shit. Like, how'd you lose all that weight? I'm like, man, I just was drinking water, a gallon of water every day and eating clean, man. So, Brandon is definitely one of the most locked in guys that I've seen in my time at Syracuse really take care of his body the way that it should be taken care of. You know what I mean? I was treating my body like a Nissan Maxima, more times than not. He was treating his shit right. You know what I mean? So, that was funny that you brought that up. Starting right away, you coming to Syracuse, were you, I don't want to say promised, were you, what was that conversation like, as opposed to the other schools that you were getting recruited by? What was your top three you could tell me your top three once I get done, but was it, okay, I'm going to go to Syracuse because I have the best chance at starting, or was it I'm going to Syracuse because I have the best chance at getting playing time? Because we all know coach only goes 7 deep. So what was that like for you going into Syracuse as a freshman?
Well, there's the home factor, right? So Syracuse was, they had a higher chance because it's home. It's closest thing to home, So to me, all the other schools had it like, how can you beat me being home? You know what I'm saying? So it's already, let's say, 25% there. So another team had to blow me away anyway. And the top three was all our rivals, UConn and Georgetown. Those are the top three teams that I was looking at. So I was set, actually, before I actually committed to Syracuse, I did like a sitting meeting with Coach, with Bam. And he pretty much said, hey, basically the starting position is up for grabs, basically. He said, "Well, Johnny Flynn leaving. He's going to be leaving probably next year. So with him leaving, we want you to play point guard. We have Scoot coming back, and we obviously we don't know what he will be. But I see you as playing. You and him splitting time basically. He didn't necessarily say I was going to be like a starter per se, but in my mind, I said, all right, 20 minutes, at least 20 minutes. Oh, that's not bad. That's what I said to myself. And it was just, it's hard because it's like you're guaranteed at least 20 minutes. So I was like I can't leave, So I didn't even go on a visit. Let's be honest. I didn't I was Georgetown. I think I maybe had that meeting on the 16th. I don't know if Boeheim knew all this, but like the meeting with him was the 16th, and I was supposed to go to UConn on the 17th, and then a week later I was supposed to go to Georgetown, and I had to call both teams, set it up. I had to call both teams and be like, I committed to Syracuse, things like that. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Because
exactly. That was my final three too. I didn't know Georgetown and UConn was in your final three. Well, that was my top three. Georgetown, because obviously I was right there in DC for 2 years, and they envisioned me, like I keep saying, being like Jeff Green and their Princeton offense, and then UConn kind of was selling me on all the fours or the wings that were able to go to the league, as opposed to Syracuse only had a few like Melo and whoever else. But yeah, they were in my UConn. I don't know, was still on me pretty heavily after I verbally committed. They kind of chilled out once I signed the letter of intent, but up until that point, like UConn was real heavy. So that's something that I didn't know, that you were even considering those other two schools. But coming in, what would you say was the biggest difference for you, coming in as a freshman? Was the game any faster? Because like I said, I've seen you on a day-to-day basis lift weights, work out after practice, work out on days off. So is that how you were preparing yourself since high school to get ready for college? Because you knew, okay, you had a front row seat to Syracuse games. You knew what it took to, and it's not like you're in a city that that plays in the MEAC or some shit. You're seeing games. You're seeing UConn, Louisville, Pittsburgh, all these teams when you're going to Syracuse games. And did that give you a better idea of, okay, look, this is what I need to do to be able to compete at this level?
So for me, the biggest difference was the consistency of the bigger guys. So now, like, around my area, I'm finishing baskets over a 6'4", 6'5" person. So, and in the AAU, you might get a couple games where you have like those top teams or top talents where it's big. I wasn't consistently going against 6'9" guys around the basket and things like that. So the biggest thing for me was trying to adjust to my athletic ability to try to finish the best way possible. Obviously, so the mental battles came from, okay, shooting this shot, or do I do an extra dribble do I go body to body, and things like that. The speed and everything was, it depends. I felt like I was able to keep up with everybody, and strength wise, I felt like I was already bigger than everybody. So, so that wasn't too much of a that wasn't too much of a hard thing for me as far as like strength and stuff like that. But for me, I think just but also the system. Right. I think one thing I struggled with as well was I wasn't a self-confident guy already. Right. So some of it came from the outsiders. So like if my coach put the confidence on me, then like, okay, you got it. This is like your team and things like that. Then I'm like, all right, cool. But if it was within myself, then I was wavering up and down. So the one things I try to focus on, the reason why I worked out so much is that, all right, if I can make sure nothing in my basketball game has holes in it, then I don't have to worry about confidence. I could just go out and do it, and then my game will speak for itself. So that was one of the things.
I like to ask about specific.
Paulie, 1 second.
All right, Chris,
you could ask the
go
question.
ahead.
No. You could ask the question. I'm just now noticing. Am I tripping, or is that a tattoo on your? Is that a tattoo on your arm?
I have multiple tattoos. Yeah.
Oh, him?
God, I didn't know that because you're always wearing a flannel and shit. Now you got your short sleeve on, and now I'm seeing that you got tattoos, man. That's okay. That's what's up. All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
I like to ask about specific games. And you played in that game on the aircraft carrier. What was that like going out to San Diego? And maybe you could just give us a quick rundown of how that all went down and how weird that was.
It was pretty crazy. It was cool in so many aspects. Actually, I think our game was supposed to be that Friday, and then it started raining on that Friday, so they pushed it back to a Sunday. But when we went there, it was like 60 degrees. Like, obviously, it's not like that's not prime outdoor weather. Like, if you get close to 70,
Right.
5 is the best outdoor weather. And it wasn't too windy, but a lot of guys were wearing like long sleeves playing and things like that. Obviously, you got the sun. That was so for me, it was obviously you're on a boat, so you're going through all like the naval type of aspects of the history, which the reason why we were on the boat. So that's how it was like the first few days. I was able to travel through, San Diego? My family and everything, it was there. So I was able to go through downtown and go to different places and stuff like that. So that's why I enjoyed it. But as far as the game, obviously, it's you're playing outside, but you are on like hardwood. So you still have that aspect. And I think CJ Fair is the only person that made a 3-pointer.
Right. I'm guessing Coach would like to play in the outdoor windy conditions because you guys could just pack your zone in because nobody could shoot from outside. It was so windy out.
Exactly. You're just outside in general, just a different view. You probably used to a wall shooting, and now you're shooting is nothing. But the reason why once we got up like 10, 12 points is just like, all right, there's no way to come back. Because they can't make enough 3-pointers.
Exactly. Excuse me. What was your views on just coming into school and adapting to the zone? I think the zone, obviously we know Syracuse, you've been through the draft process, and I know everywhere you've been, anyone who knows about Syracuse always asks the question, why do you always play zone? Did you ever play man-to-man? So coming into Syracuse, and obviously you came from a prior program that played a lot of a man-to-man. What was that zone adjustment like for you?
To me, I'm a person who's never like one-sided about anything. I'm more of a gray area person, so that's I'm able to learn and understand different things. So the zone is just what works. You know what I'm saying? Whatever works. And I think that year, obviously, we were athletic enough to play the way it's supposed to be played. And I mean, the 4 years I was there, we were really athletic. So kind of the zone actually kind of worked in our favor. Let's say compared to the recent years of SU playing it. So now it's like they're not athletic enough to be good at it. But yeah, I mean, you have so many people wonder like, okay, why do you guys play the zone versus man? But if you look at the percentages, it's like, well, when we play in the zone, our percentages are better than when you play man to man. So why no one is telling you to play zone if you're playing man to man? And Coach kind of will always say that, and it actually makes sense. It's like they never a man-to-man team that's a team is shooting 50% on. They're not telling them, hey, you need to play zone. They just telling you need to get better at playing man-to-man.
Exactly.
So for a zone, probably have low 40s. And then from there, and then sometimes obviously it's like, dang, like when we maybe don't have backup centers or things like that. It becomes tough because now you have holes. It's like, all right, if they get it inside, then maybe that's their strength. So you have certain teams that only like 3 or 4 teams will actually figure us out. You got the Louisvilles, who they'll figure it out by going outside, making a lot of corner threes and stuff like that. And then you maybe had Pittsburgh was always tough. Even if they're not good that year, they're going to be good versus us. And then obviously we had battles with Villanova, but everybody else we pretty much had their number. Marquette, but even then we were beating those guys as well. So
while you're talking defense, I want to your senior year, you guys lose 4 out of 5 at the end of the year. Before you get smoked by Georgetown. What changed in your defense that year? Because that's what got you guys to the Final Four that year.
I think I think the biggest thing for my senior year was I was hurt. So I got hurt. I hurt my back, and obviously they didn't report it and stuff like that. But I hurt my back that Pittsburgh game. I'm not sure if you remember the game where we basically started out losing 17-0, and then we went on a 17-0 run to come back.
Yeah.
So that game,
at Pittsburgh,
I actually hurt my back. So I pretty much didn't practice that whole rest of the year. So a lot of those games, if you look from that time to the end of the season, my scoring average went down 2 whole points. That's hard to do. Like, you already 17 games in, and then your whole scoring go down 2 points. So, like, I wasn't able to move the same. I was trying to, like, pacing myself throughout the game, just trying to figure it out, trying to help the team. But, like, all right, my back is stiff. I can't move, things like that. So, I mean, over time, my back did get a little better. But in general, I think we just came together as a team. Obviously, we lost 4 out of 5. And then I think we beat Providence in the beginning, and then we ended up beating DePaul. Like, then this, we always beat DePaul, so we kind of needed that game. So that was the last game. That was, I think, but yeah, then once we went into the Big East, I feel like we had a meeting. It was just me, James, and Michael Carter Williams talking for the most. And I felt like it was just it's one of those real team meetings where it's like, all right, we all locked in. And we really thought about it defensive first. Like, all right, we're going to lock in on defense, going to lock everyone up. Offensively, whatever happens, happens. That's literally how we thought. So in my head, I was thinking to myself, okay, every minute I'm on this court, I'm not going to have one of those, all right, I'm going to take this play off. And I think none of us really took a play off. I think that's the real difference. Like, none of us took a play off, and we started rotating guys. We started getting, help from, Bai was playing really well around that time too. It was crazy. Bai was probably averaging like 10 points, making all his free throws. It was crazy around that time. Obviously, James Sutherland went off during the tournament. He hit I think it was like 23s. He broke the record, whatever the record is for Big East threes. I think he should still have it. But yeah, it was just a total team effort. So then once we ran through the Big East tournament, obviously we lost to Louisville. We were just so ready for the NCAA tournament that no one was ready for us.
You lost to Georgetown in that last game, and then what was the team mentality when you get to the Big East and you get another shot at them? That was supposed to be the last Big East game against Georgetown.
I think that was our third time playing those guys. I'm pretty sure we beat them the first. I don't know how many times. Did we play them 4 times?
You lost to them at home and at Georgetown that year.
Okay, so yeah, it was the opposite. So normally we're on the opposite end where we're beating teams. It's hard to beat them 3 times. That was one of those type of games, and that's why kind of like Coach preached and other coaches preached. Like, it's hard to beat somebody 3 times. So we had lost to them the 2 times, and it was like, all right, third game was going to be real difficult for them to beat us. I think, did that game go overtime?
So I'm going to try to hang up and
That's did it go overtime? Yes, it did. 58-55. You guys won. You had a good memory.
Yeah, so that obviously was one of the tough games, and obviously we were more desperate than they were. We needed to win. We needed to win some games. I think mentally we felt like going into Big East tournament that we were like a bubble team. We went from being one of the top teams to being a team that, okay, we don't know if we're going to make the tournament. I think that's how we kind of felt. And we never really had success. All my 4 years that we played, we never had success in the Big East tournament. I'm talking about we always first seed going in, and we lose the first game. Maybe win the first game and lose the second game. Like, we never actually, panned out to be the team that was on paper during the Big East tournament. And I think naturally we didn't take it as serious as other people as well. But yeah, it was crazy, losing those 4 out of 5 games. We knew that we needed to, put some games together, and that's what we did.
And then you guys get into the tournament, and I always bring this up. Syracuse in in the NCAA tournament made James Harden look stupid, and they also made Victor Oladipo look really bad in a tournament. You guys go into that Indiana game, and nobody's picking you guys to go to the Final Four, and you're facing that Indiana team. Maybe you can give us a quick rundown of that.
Yeah, we so I think the first game we beat Montana,
right,
and then the second game we beat Cal State, which was a pretty good team. But again, we still were just hanging our hat on our defense. So as we get to the Final Four, as we get to the Sweet 16, we had Indiana. Obviously, had Cody Zeller, they had Victor Oladipo, they had Jordan Hawes, they had a couple other guys. Yogi Ferrell played in the NBA as well, so they had a lot of NBA guys. And for us, we were just, we were confident. We were super confident at the time. We didn't think that no team could beat us. And that's how we kind of went into the game. If you look at that, go back and watch that game, we were flying all over the place. Every play, they did not get one clean pass off. You know what I mean? Like, it was incredible just to watch. Sometimes I go back and watch those games. And it was just something that they never seen before. You got Yogi Ferrell, who's 5'10", who can't see the basket. You got Jordan Hawes, who's one of the better shooters in the whole country. He couldn't even see the basket. He couldn't get a shot off. So Victor actually did play pretty well. He ended up probably like 16 points or so, but it was tough. And you got Cody Zeller. He's battling with Bob. Bob Musakeda is pretty much, giving him a hard time. So they just couldn't find a rhythm, and we knocked their rhythm off. It was because of us. We were all over the place, and then offensively, we were playing smooth. We were playing our game. We were playing controlled. Michael Carter Williams had his best game. He had I'm going to the NBA game.
Right.
So that was an incredible game to see him play well. And as a team, that was like the, pretty much the story of our season, just that game.
You look at your team on that run to the Final Four, 34 points to Montana, 60 to Cal. Indiana only scores 50. Marquette, the next game, only scores 39. Was there something special about that Marquette game, too? Your freshman year, you lose to them in the tournament, and then you get another shot at them as you're in the Elite Eight.
Well, I mean, if we're being honest, like that team, throughout the years, that was the worst Marquette team that we played against. I mean, listen, they had so many guys play overseas at a high level. So many guys played in NBA, which is crazy because there's like 7 of those guys. You obviously got Jimmy Butler, you got Dwight Bikes, you have Jay Crowder, you have Darius Johnson Odom. That's 4. You have my first year was, I think it was Dom. I'm missing one other. Oh, you got Jamal Wilson, who also played. You have Vanderblue. So Anderson, was he on the team? Anderson Toscano?
Hey, look.
He might have been.
Let me look at the box.
Yeah, my senior year, he was on that Anderson Toscano, and he's playing the NBA right now, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was Andrew Nichols, Junior Cadogan, Trent Lockett, Christian White.
I'm thinking of Trent Lockett. I'm thinking of Lockett. So that was like
a
roster.
Yeah, the only guy, Andrew Nicholas is the only one that really scored any points against you guys in that game.
Oh, Nicholas, he's from Canada, huh?
I believe so. Chris would know when he comes back.
Yeah.
We'll ask him.
But anyways, yeah, that was like the worst team that they had. So it was like more so let's say an easier game for us because we're more comfortable seeing those guys. But because we're so locked in, it was a different type of team. They couldn't make shots, they couldn't see the basket as well, and it was just one of those years. That year, those sets of I think it was 5 games we played. It was just like, and even the game we lost against Michigan, like obviously our offense was pretty terrible. So that's one of the reasons why we lost. We lost that game in the 50s, I think.
You scored 56. that game against Michigan, it's infamously known for the call on you. What was your vantage of that call? It haunts Syracuse fans to this day on the charge.
Yeah. Like I think I missed the layup as well. It was a tough play. I think naturally because it was a play that it could have been a charge. I kind of let up a little bit instead of like going as hard to the basket. So the timing, but no, it was I don't know. Like people ask me, oh, what do you think it was? It was a charge or a block? And it's tough. If I was them, if I'm me, I wanted to be a block. If I'm them, I wanted to be a charge. I think it's actually really close. It's way closer than that I thought it was. But I think it was a block. And I was...
Okay, yeah, I was just going to ask you, when you get a chance to look back on your career at Syracuse, what sticks out the most to you? That first year, you guys are number one most of the year, and then Arenze gets hurt, and then your senior year, you make the Final Four. What's the one thing you look back on most?
Senior year, because I had, for me, I was the captain on that team, and that was the only year I felt like, this is like not my team, but this is like a team that I have real control of doing well. Before it was like if I play good, if I don't play good, whatever. It's like if I did play good, it's for me. All right, you play good, you win. I felt like I wasn't the main reason we lose or win, if that makes sense. So my senior year, like I felt it. I felt like, all right, if I'm playing bad, we might lose. If I'm playing good, there's no way we losing. So I felt more like I wanted more pressure. Obviously, that was one of the years where coach didn't say nothing to me. So he didn't have no backups. So it's different when you don't have no one to take you out for coach. He don't say much to you. You can't say much to you because you're already playing those minutes. So
a whole different freedom.
So you going through a freshman sophomore, it's like you say something, boom. It was times my freshman year, sophomore year, it was like, man, school. I'll start the game, I have a turnover or something, I'll come out with 2 minutes to go in, with 18 minutes to go in the first half. School go in there, he turned it over, I'll go back in. I'm like, all right. we end up subbing each other like 3 times, 5 minutes. So my freshman year was cool because I just didn't know what to expect. But yeah, my senior year was, I felt like obviously we went the furthest. It's a team with I believe the least amount of talent, like standout talent, and we went the furthest. So, yeah.
I'm glad I came back. I was suffering some technical difficulties, but I came back, and Paulie, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask as well was, you played on some great teams. I mean, I guess except your sophomore year, we lost to Marquette in the first round or second round, whatever that was, on some BS. Scoop, did he go back court? Did he not? But regardless, we kind of shit the bed. We should have never been, not to say they were bad. They had two NBA guys, 3. Vanderbilt ended up in the league. DJO, they had a good team. Yes, they did. Weeks, whatever his last name was, they had a good team, but we had their number, like you mentioned earlier. But you've been on some, obviously being the winningest player in Syracuse history. You've won, on a lot of teams. And I guess without adding in how far you went in the NCAA tournament, which team would you say was the best team that you played on in your 4 years?
Our junior year was obviously I think our junior year was the best Syracuse team in Syracuse history. Because we had, your senior year, my junior year. So that's
that was the best team.
That's me, Deion Waiters, Scoop Jardine, Rick Jackson, Fab Mello. That's Bai Musakeda, Chris Joe, That's James Sutherland. That's C.J. Fair. That's Raheem Christmas.
Yeah.
That's 10. And think about all the guys all had at least of kicking ass. That's it. So
Yeah,
that's 10
nah,
guys.
facts.
Obviously, Mookie Jones is still on that team as 11th, 12th guy, and I probably missed somebody, but I'm pretty sure I named everybody, which is crazy, which is insane because you go into the season and you can't play. Michael Carl Williams on that team. Michael Carl Williams, Trevor Coon are both on. So you think about those things. Everybody on that team had a. Raheem spent all 3 years being shitty, and then his senior year he dominates. So he has one good
Defensive
season.
player of the year, ACC gets drafted. Yep.
Yeah. So even everyone on that team is like you who like no like there's too many guys. There's too many guys on that team. It just worked out and panned out that way. And yeah, for sure that got to be the best team in Syracuse history. For sure.
That's impressive because your
Yeah, I like
freshman
that.
year's team was loaded also,
Well,
That
Rick
was.
has that we can talk about practice. And practice is we had practice crazy. You know what I mean? For us, the whole junior year.
You really had two teams. Like you could separate us in half.
Yes.
Split us down the middle, and it was matched up evenly. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So yeah.
Sometimes the second team beat the first team. It's like, nah, I want to be on the second team. I want to go against the first team. That's how it was set up to be. So, yeah. And our freshman year, we had 7 players. That's it. We had seven players, and that's it. Everything else falls off a cliff after that. So, in our sophomore year, my sophomore year, we were better. We were a little younger, and we had talent. Obviously, with Raheem coming in, and it was with
Trevor.
it was Musa came and Musa Keita came.
Yeah.
So I think Raheem was my junior year. Raheem and Mike was they were freshmen my junior year.
What do you say about? Oh, sorry, Paulie.
No, go ahead, Chris.
So what I was gonna ask you is, what do you think about Syracuse's? Because you just hit it on the head, like the development factor of Syracuse players. Because you just said Rock didn't do so great his first X amount of years, but was still a McDonald's All-American, right? But sometimes guys don't understand that you have to really learn the game at that next level. And I think that, and we've touched on this during the year, Paulie, that Syracuse does a great job of developing guys. Mike wasn't ready really his freshman year. He comes in as a McDonald's All-American. He wasn't necessarily ready. I'm sure you put a guy out on the court or go to a team, a school where you're going to play 25, 30 minutes. You're out on the court long enough, you'll mistakenly score like 6 points. You might tip the ball in by accident. Things that just happen if you're on the court long enough. So what do you think about the development, like the player development at Syracuse? You think of Fab, you think of Bai, myself, CJ, James, just Trevor, who ends up being really great at Syracuse. What do you think about the player development there?
Well, for me, it's there's a few different aspects you could go at it. Some of it is like Syracuse have guys who are staying 3 and 4 years. So as a freshman, when you come in, it's difficult. You have guys who are staying 3 and 4 years. So you're a McDonald's All-American. You would hope that you are one of those Duke, obviously Kentucky, where they plan all their freshmen. Syracuse is not one of those teams. So you almost have to be lucky that there's not someone in that position when you get there. So you're a McDonald's All-American. You already had a point guard who was there 2 and 3 years. Coach works off his trust. So he'll take somebody who he's consistently going to get, 8 points or 9 points. If he know that he's consistently going to get that, and then try to work your way in unless you're super duper dominant, But if you have guys who are, in your position already there, then it's going to take time. Now, a lot of guys come in and they think, okay, because I'm McDonald's All-American, I'm going to play above this guy. They think if they're even, that they're going to play above that guy. No, coach don't work that way. You have to either dominate. You have to dominate your position to play above a guy that's already there because he already know the offense. Coach already know what he's gonna get. So in general, you coming in there as like behind a little bit. You know what I mean? So a lot of guys who are the freshmen and things like that, who just so happen to be like me, I come into a vacant spot.
Right.
There's no point guard.
That don't happen too often. Yeah.
You got Ennis. You know, you got Tyler Ennis. He comes in a vacant point guard spot. You know, and you know other guys who come to spots where no one's there. Obviously, I'm not gonna say too much about the current teams because they haven't been that good, but yeah. So back then it was like people coming in. It's already like Michael Carter Williams come in. He's the third guard. He's the fourth guard.
Right.
It's like you're not gonna play minutes over me, Scoop, and Dion. You're not. So it's like you're the fourth guy coming into Syracuse. So it's hard. So his development came from, I think once he got to the point where he's like, okay, this year I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna get better. I think that's when he became like, I'm gonna use these practices as my games. That's when he became a totally different player.
I just remember Michael Carter Williams at the Garden. He took out all of his not playing frustrations on the rim at the Garden. That's like one of the best dunks I remember. Yeah, I remember at Syracuse, like in my time at Syracuse.
He definitely took all his frustration out. That coach, him not playing, it was bottled up in that one dunk. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But for most people, you just got to be under coaches. The best player for under coaches, let's say Rain, as a guy who's going to be a fighter, right? Somebody who's going to go back and forth with him. So if you having those arguments with coach or Hop, like you got to be that erratic type of player to mentally get over that. That's the fastest way you're going to get over it. You got to fight, because if you're respectful and just taking all like the negativity in, then you obviously going to lose confidence. So some days you're not going to want to be at practice. You're going to be like, man, fuck this. I'm not going. Like, you don't want to go. You're like, all right, whatever. I ain't playing tomorrow anyway. So you going out before the games, you know, we used to do the hotel curfew, hotels thing. You going to the party. You like, all right, I'm not playing. So, so then over time that builds up. So you might actually lose a year playing on the court, but then also lose a year of getting better, getting stronger. You're like, well, I'm in the weight room. I'm not playing.
It's the mindset, right? Instead of preparing for the next year, you locked in on the fact that you're not playing right now and not thinking, well, I could be putting myself in better position, for the following season. Because at the end of the day, at a school like Syracuse or the elite schools, right, they're bringing guys in every year. Guys are wanting to come to Syracuse, wanting to go to Duke. So you got to really stay ready, because you might be there, like you said, a whole year. Coming next year, damn near at the same place that you started at as a freshman. You know what I mean? So you really got to put your work in. You got to have that mindset. And we all know at Syracuse, it's kind of ran, there's not so much pressure to, hey, get your workouts in. We have our mandatory individuals at some point, but no one's pressuring you to do much. No one's pressuring you to go lift. Ryan isn't saying, come get a lift in mandatory after practice. You got to want to do that stuff for yourself at Syracuse to be able to get better. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like the accountability that you have to have. You have to hold yourself accountable if you want to get better.
And it's very true. That's why, like, guys who have, who thought they deserved, when they workouts, when they're working out, like off the court, kind of wavered. That's when they kind of lost out on who they could be. Hold on a second. So that's what they kind of like who they could be or whatever. So for the most part, it's tough. It's tough. Like how do you? Hold on a second.
A few minutes left.
Yeah.
I'm bugging.
When you're talking about people getting better and everything, and that we'll let you get out of here quick because we've had you a long time. What? Tell us about the camp you got coming up this week.
Yeah, so we have a camp It's at the let me pick up the ad. It's at the old Boys and Girls Club, Hamilton Street. I think now it's called Tip Hill. It's called the Tip Hill Community Center now at 201 Hamilton Street, Syracuse, New York. And that's right down the west side. So it's going to be me, Eric Devendorf. I believe he said he did a few with you, Chris, as well.
Yeah, they've been great, man.
Yeah, so Eric has been doing this pretty much since he's been out of school, holding these clinics or working out kids from various different levels. And, obviously Eric does a great job with those guys. So for me, I just wanted to kind of like transition into that. I do the same thing. I've been like training kids since I was like, 13, 14, whether it's myself, my friends, or in college, they gave us this opportunity just to work out kids for $40 an hour, without, I guess,
Oops.
to make a little bit of money in our pockets. So
fuck that oops. NIL, we should have really been getting 200 a kid, They owe us, Triche. They owe us.
Yeah, so I was trying to do that daily. I'm like, all right, if I could work out 3 kids, that's $120. I mean, I went with you one time to the Boys and Girls Club to work some kids out.
We're just trying to get it. Just trying to get it, man. But you're gonna love it. I mean, you're a legend. You're a legend, man. In the city, Syracuse legend, Syracuse City legend, Janesville legend. So it's only right.
Exactly. So,
Britt.
And I think I put out, good. I actually think I'm really good at what I do. So I think it's twofold clip or whatever, two-sided coin. So I'm happy about that. But also it's July 17th as well. So it's on Sunday, this coming up week from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. It's a pay at the door type of event. And of course you're going to learn from me, along with Eric, and I'm sure there's going to be some other guys popping up. So it's going to be a good time.
Brandon, thanks for your time. Hopefully we can do this again with you.
Yes. Yeah.
Appreciate you, bro. Yes, sir. And I'll be in the queues, man. TBT. I'll be in the queues during TBT weekend. So whenever that is, I think it's
James coming up.
Trying to make it Yeah, he is. He's coming up Friday, but I got a family trip. We're going up north to a little cabin. We got something going on. But the weekend after, hopefully I can make it out there and, chop it up. I ain't seen you in a little minute. So it'll be dope. See CJ will be there. A couple guys will be there. So it'll be good to just see everybody and see everybody again.
All right.
All right, bro. Appreciate you.